Alright, so welcome. The final part of our time trial run-throughs. Today we're going to be looking at the Ninja Worlds, which I always forget the name of. It's the Payne Cliffs. And we're going to be looking at the final world, which also I forget the name of. What is it? Snowy Mountain? It's not Snowy Mountain. You know, the last zone on this world, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but it reminds me very much of one of my earliest video games I ever played in my life, which was called Maths Mountain, I think, which is essentially an educational game where you had to learn how to divide and do multiplication to answer questions as you climb the mountain, and when you get to the top, you get a trophy, and you go back to the start, and you're filling up a trophy room. What a game. Alright, so the Payne Cliffs. Now, this is a lot like the previous zone, where the course is not actually covering the whole zone. As you can see here, I'm looking frantically around for it, but it's not about. And in fact, I had no understanding or memory, because I'm not using a guide here, of where it began at all on this zone. So I'm not even at the time trial, but I'm having a weird, stressful experience already in that I'm navigating quite a complicated, wide map, worrying that I'm going to miss the start point. Because if you miss the start point, the blue coins aren't going to get highlighted, so you won't know that you're on the course area or not. And every moment that I'm going further and further forward, I'm getting more and more and more panicked. In fact, let's watch some of this in super speed, just so that you guys get a sense of how far I had to go. And my knowledge of this map is kind of weak these days, just because of the checkpoints that they added, the shortcuts specifically. There's Shortcut Eagle, which I was pretty confident you wouldn't want to go on, because that would take you to the very end of the map. And unless they do a weird thing where it's like a reverse direction course, that I do think is a totally viable style of update, by the way. Unless they did that, there was no way that it was going to be the very end. And then as I was playing, I was thinking about these other things, like that octopus puzzle we just did. There are a few of those. How would that work? I already mentioned in the previous episode that you can play through the whole level, clearing all the enemies out and dealing with several obstacles, like burning the entangling vines and things down. But there's big elements of the level here, like this mini-boss. What would that mean if the time trial was having us fight the mini-boss? It would be really, really, really hard to do, or impossible to do your first time through, and then they balance it expecting you to clear the zone out? Well, that's just weird, you know? So, in a way, it kind of made sense as I was rushing through, thinking, yeah, they probably don't want me pushing this block. Yeah, they probably don't want me doing that. But this level is full of that kind of stuff. Breaking boards, pushing blocks, killing those bosses to lower drawbridges. It's everywhere. At what moment would they finally decide, okay, this is where a time trial is valuable? And this is kind of like the ultimate expression of what I'm talking about. This puzzle is always a nightmare for me, because Super Adventure Box leaves for a year, and I forget everything about this. You know, there's two ways through the puzzle, as I've described in previous videos. You can do the early version, where you know exactly what blocks to push where, and you can get out of it super quick. Or you can push all of the blocks to the maximum amount that they can ever be pushed, and then go from there. And every year, Super Adventure Box goes away, and this knowledge falls out of my mind. So I have to relearn it. And can you imagine doing this under a time trial? It just wouldn't make any sense. Anyway, so I finally push all the blocks into their respective positions, only to get killed at the end anyway. Climb up through, and I'm starting to think finally, alright, maybe it's somewhere near here. But you have this whole other sequence with 3 bosses that need to be killed, and they're like permanent state changes, and then another octopus at the far building. Now, I won't force you guys to watch all of this, because I do terribly, and it takes me a good like 10 minutes to get through this whole super long checkpoint, which is probably one of the most nightmarish checkpoints in Tribulation mode. And it's finally after this section that the trial begins. So here I am, climbing across the roof, especially scared that those various cloud sequences and other alternate routes have actually had it. And you'll see it's here. So, not only did it have an interesting start point, it had a really confusing, and I was so happy I cheered. It has a really confusing, like, route, too. So, check this out. When I turn it on, if you look, I look back through the level wondering, you know, are they going to make me go backwards and put me on the roofs of all those places that you usually go to for baubles? But then I realized, no, there's a ton of icons, like, behind the clouds. And I happen to know that behind the clouds, but that high up, is just the rest of the level in general. So I go that way. Then I get a weird frame drop that like teleports me around as well, which was especially strange. So I go again. And they have this first coin here on this pillar, which makes me think, you know, they're clearly telling me to run along. They do something pretty clever here, having you do this like mini jump sequence, a very technical little sequence that you can kind of get into a rhythm for, obviously. But imagining my technique where I reset a level and then I start again and then I reset a level and then I start again, I was not looking forward to that. But think about this. There is a checkpoint you get at the end. So there's a very cool little skip you can do on this zone, of the likes of which I think are available in many places. If you're really trying to optimize this because you're going for the leaderboards, you don't care about ArenaNet's pre-packaged gold rewards, you care about the leaderboard competition, then that's where some of this stuff can start getting really interesting. Anyway, so I look back to make sure I've not missed any coins, get dragged by a toad, and then fail this jump. So I get a little bit worried. And looking back at the blue icons there, I'm even more worried that things have gone kind of pear-shaped. So here you see I reset at a checkpoint because I died, but then I have to actually reset the adventure too. And I'm thinking, hold on, what if that first coin is just like a trick? What if I need to come onto these clouds? Because this is all like weird, uncharted, semi-new territory as far as it exists in my mind. You know, this is where that weird furniture shop is, where you have to stand on a very specific little section and it falls away. And I'm thinking, is this right? Do I go this way? But you'd think they would have put a coin in the middle. And here I get a glimpse, you know, that's the end of the zone there, right? That is literally the end. And you can see that they're just kind of breadcrumbing along. So what basically ArenaNet have done, I'm now pretty confident, is they did a time trial that is only a slice of the zone, but when you get to it, it is asking you to just beat the level. So that's what we go for here. And I miss a jump, and this is when I really realize the power of the thing that I'm doing. I already got the coin, and I've just skipped ahead, really, haven't I? So one more reset, and here's a nice technique. I recommend you guys do this. Grab coin 1 and fall. And that was intentional, just not as efficiently as I seem to do it there. And then there you go. You've skipped that whole bit, and you can kind of res rush this. That is until you get another checkpoint, because the next checkpoint will mean you're not respawning here anymore. You're respawning way deeper on into the zone and potentially breaking the whole idea, which is very frustrating, and we'll see how that comes into play in Zone 3. But so they put a coin, skipping the whole gondola room. If you had to speedrun that room, it would be extremely frustrating, I think. So, or amazing, one of those two. So I'm kind of grateful they didn't ask us to do that. You got a weird challenge coming up here, which is, you know, this is the teleport part puzzle. You go forward, left, right. But do they want me to do that this time? I just had no idea. I did forward, left, right. Scared that I've now missed a coin on a random platform. I mean, they could do those things. And from now on, in the rest of the run, I have absolutely no confidence I've got all of the coins. But I'm just going for it anyway. This sequence as well is a bit of a nightmare. I just have so many bad memories from doing this in Trib, frankly. And as I've mentioned in the previous videos, latency affects these trampolines in a big way. And so if you were the kind of player like me who played on like 300 MS all the time because you lived EU and you played NA, it would just make that horrible. And the idea of falling now and losing all my coin progress is nasty. Anyway, so look, this is the bit I said they were breadcrumbing along. And amazingly, we're near the end in like the blink of an eye. It's so strange to just like zoom through some of these places. And I'm just going to try and get to the final part. Here I look up and I see that I have 7 out of 8 coins. And I'm pretty sure I saw the last coin right at the end of the level. So that's just where I'm kind of zerged to. I don't know if this is the fastest way anymore because I'm so used to Tribulation taking me in the other direction. But I went this one, and thankfully there it is. There's the coin in front of the log. It's just a question of, did we get it in time? And we did. So I was about a minute under on this one, of which I think about 20 seconds I managed to cheese with that checkpoint technique. So I got this one very, very, very comfortably, like many of the others. And again, World 1, Zone 1 is by far the most challenging that I came across. I mean, I kind of lucked my way into doing a pretty cheesy strat here, but there you have it. So that leaves us with just the final zone, and I'm just going to manually get myself there so that I get, you know, some extra chests and whatnot. And this one was a nightmare, a horrible experience. First, it's not so bad because, again, like the other 2 zones in this world, it's only a portion that they ask you to do the time trial. This is always an interestingly designed zone because it is, as far as the game is currently implemented, the end of Super Adventure Box. Obviously, they have the ideas for World 3 and World 4, and they've confirmed that World 3 is on the cards. But for many years and many of these updates, this is like the ultimate zone. This is the final boss. So they can do something weird. It wouldn't have surprised me if, as long as this level is, they made the time trial the whole zone. It wouldn't have surprised me if they did that because it feels almost appropriate since this is somewhat the end. But if they're thinking more long-term, and World 3 and World 4 really will be with Guild Wars 2 by the time all is said and done, then it makes sense to have this balanced more appropriately. And that's what they've gone with here. So you're going to do a slice of the level towards the end of the level. And now let's think and try to predict. Because in the Payne Cliffs, they had very carefully set it up that you didn't have to do any more octopus puzzles or kill certain bosses that would be gone forever, just so that that whole you need to prepare the run thing wasn't an element. So what do they have in this zone? Well, there's the plinko bits, right? There's where you have the big pyramid that you have to jump on all of the pressure pads, and the goats are going to drop down and turn them off. But once you've done it forever. So surely, I rationalized to myself, surely the way they've done this is that part of the course is not a part of the time trial. Which means that it's more likely it would be the first half than the second half. Well, as you can see, I'm making pretty hot progress here, and there's no sign of it whatsoever. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't start it halfway up this, so I do choose to take this teleporter. And I'm going to cut ahead now to where the actual beginning is, which is around about here. You remember this plateau where it used to just be one teleporter, and you'd have to go through the level? Then they added a second teleporter that lets you skip most of the level. Well, I got here and started thinking, well, hold on, which way do I have to go? And I looked back and happened to find the flag back here, sort of just staring at me. So I'm going a very weird route on this one to get to the flag initially, which is obviously the important bit, because once you get to the flag initially, you can always just reset back to that point, right? And you shouldn't have to do this ever again, right? Well, I will have to do this multiple times, and you can see why. So, yeah, I'm going a very weird way. This is not the most simple, and you'll see another version. Oh, yeah, and I had one heart, and the banana nailed me. Yeah, that was one of the reasons I had to reset the whole thing. Yeah, so instead, what we do is we hit up the teleporter, and the flag is just on the other side. It's just, don't go up with the hand, with the arrow. You go up on the right here instead. I probably should have killed that banana, honestly, but he doesn't hit me this time. And there you have it. So we start the course. There's a polar bear ahead who you could kill. If you're really going to struggle on this, like I did, it's probably a good idea to kill that polar bear straight away. I leave him a while before I decide to. First coin's pretty simple. It's not very inspired. Same as with the Payne Cliffs. This zone actually has so much opportunity for new places to go. And they just don't utilize it, especially here. You know, there's all those secret rooms and those crazy, like, places lower down the mountain. And they just put you on the main path. So not very inspired, really. In any case, we go through the teleporter here that has you play the full level. Because I can't imagine it would be the other teleporter. If it's the other teleporter, you just get put right next to the Yeti. And then what are they going to do? Have you run around the icy thing at the Yeti, collect weird coins in the middle of the Storm Wizard fight? I mean, it's a novel idea, but the devs didn't do that. We're instead doing this whole section that most people, I think, associate with Tribulation mode more than anything else now. And thankfully, this year, I have already come in and done a full playthrough of everything for my annual achievement. So the song 133, 133 to break that instead of shooting it with the catapult was totally on my mind, and I was able to do. But here you'll see I've got 3 hearts, and we have to sprint through this room. There's a coin at the end, and I get nailed down by this. Look at that. Look at how fast I died there. I can't believe how quickly I died on that. And oh, look. Something very bad just happened. I died, and right as I was respawning, I clicked reset. So here's what happened. I died in like a horrendous way, very fast. I clicked reset, which put me to the flag, but then the game teleported me to the checkpoint because I had died. So both happened. I went to the flag, it initiated the pop-up to reset, but then I moved really far away, so then when I clicked play, I was in the totally wrong place, and it failed. So now I've got to get back. But the teleporter to go back doesn't work. Why, ArenaNet? Why doesn't that teleporter work? Why did you do a time trial where it's right before a teleporter that there's no return? So I hit this issue and I can't get back now. I tried like a ludicrous jump back to the original mountain there, desperate to make it, but they insta-kill me. It was weird seeing the long distance view as well there, showing all the infantile clouds rendering in, even though I'm not even playing in that game mode. And I have no choice now but to reset the whole level. I mean, you guys can tell me in the comments if I'm being a dummy on this. To add insult to injury, getting even just into the house is annoying here. You could tell me if I made some kind of mistake, there was a route back, but because I never had the adventure UI to click reset anymore because of the weird timing of that double loading screen, so I now have to replay the whole level, and believe me, I was very frustrated at this. So frustrated, it even crossed my mind that when recording this video, I should force you all to watch every second of going back through. But don't worry, I've calmed down now, and you get the magic of editing. Because this is not a small distance into the level. This is pretty far. So, we go on again, and you guys don't need to watch this. I guess that counts as a fail that I've shown on camera there. Let's see the next issue. Okay, not that. I mean, that was annoying, but not that. Back into the long spike corridor. The most notorious tribulation room. And look at it this time. I only lose like 2 hearts from just spamming along. And I'm sure you could do the route carefully and safely. The times seem quite forgiving so far. But I just kind of ran through. So, the Plinko thing. What can I say? I, while doing this, was very much cognizant of the fact that I could do it and then click restart, and then I'd never have to do it again. And this weird design thing, the devs do not avoid. In fact, if anything, it feels like they're leaning into it on this zone. They're deliberately playing with the whole, ooh, you got to prep the zone early. I do think it's probably possible to clean this out really quick. But I was not lucky. To be honest, as I mentioned in the previous video, I never really learned exactly how to do this. Just try to avoid the ones the goats like to frequent, and just eventually you get a little bit lucky. And I'm desperate to get through quickly here. If ever you want to get through it quickly, it's during a time trial. Ever if you want to go fast. And maybe that meant that I was a bit slow-brained on this or whatever. But I really struggle. I don't actually think I've ever struggled on this more than I'm struggling now. I take so long on this, it's farcical. I want you to pay attention to my health right now. I have 3 hearts. And you know what one of the weird mechanics is? And look at that. I can step on the platform and it double turns off and on and again and happens again. I don't know what's going on there. I have 3 hearts. One of the weird mechanics here is that if you're standing on a platform right when the goat lands on the platform, the goat will actually do damage to you. I call that a weird mechanic. Later, it's obviously a big part of the level because you've got all of those, you know, big jumps to do as the goats are constantly running against you. But look at how long I've been playing here. That's the first time a goat hit me. They will do a whole heart. I struggle. Look at how insane this is. I struggle at this for so long that the goats kill me. Look at this. I now only have 1 heart left. And my teeth are grinding, and I just can't believe that I managed to get through. Like, look, it's so close. And some of you guys are going to be screaming at the screen right now, wondering how it is possible I could ever do this bad. I am screaming as well. Look, they managed to kill me. And here's the amazing thing. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I had that problem before. Don't hit a double loading screen. So I don't click. And when I respawn, it doesn't let me click. So I have the same problem again. And I'm screaming. I'm actually screaming right now. That's it. I'm locked out again. I have the same problem. I have no choice but to go back to the hub and do it again. So we're back. And now you know what's going through my mind. I'm thinking, don't rush. Go as slow as you want to. Actually engage your brain. Be a little bit more careful about what platforms you do. And just beat this and then click reset. And just do it all again without actually reset. So there you saw I didn't really care that platform got turned off because I knew the goat was going to turn it on again. And that one I deliberately turned off because I knew the goat was going to turn it on again. Like so. So I'm thinking just take it easy and reset. There's no big deal. But all of a sudden, just a couple of seconds in here, this is actually not what I remembered happening. I pretty much get it done. There it is, I think. Because they jump onto these 2. And the door's open. So it took like a couple of seconds just because I was a little bit more careful. And I hit reset and I decided to go for the full run. But honestly, I think I could have winged it and seen if I'd get the time anyway, because that was so fast. Returning to the room one more time. And I've not cut out any runs. This is still a situation where when I get to the end, I might find that they have made this one really hard and they've pushed the time to its limit. I go on through, get another checkpoint. I'm not too worried about that. There's a coin here. Again, think about the complexity in this area of the level with like the maze that's off on the right that you can go through with the Shatter Song Serenade. What if they hid a balloon coin in that maze? Or behind me on the slope there, which you just saw I was scanning to check and it didn't look like there was one. You could have done all kinds of wild stuff. I think that this slope area is really interesting to play under a time trial scenario. Because, and you might not get it from the footage. You guys watching might not have played Super Adventure Books for a while, so you kind of forget how this feels. But this is very, you know, there's a lot of momentum going on here. And if you really slip up, that was not meant to be a pun there. But if you make a mistake and you start sliding back down, it can be really punishing. So it's just a nice like element of stress I quite enjoy in that bit. I think it worked well. When I play that in normal mode, it just feels tedious. When you play it in a time trial, it feels like, you know, a serious part of the challenge. And so now we get to this bridge area. I'm terrified of dying. I really am because of that whole bug thing. And I might have to do the whole goddamn level again, which is so not in the spirit of what they made, but is ultimately what's happened here. So I'm especially scared of some of these icy bridges. There's one coming up here where they'll shake and then fall away. Like that one there is scary. But up here, if you hit the ice the wrong way, you can trigger it to fall before you're actually there. This last one here. And you can die there. I've died there countless times before. I've also died here countless times hitting the cloud at a wrong angle or whatever. And there I even mess up a bit, made my heart jump. So generally speaking, I was just under a lot of stress at this moment. And I'm also wondering how far they'll make me go. Because there is that long ice bridge with the blowy walls coming up. There is the Yeti fight, and they might have made me do the Yeti fight. There is that whole area, optional area, just before the Yeti fight that requires a jump dodge to get to, if you guys remember that one. And it's like this huge, massive chunk of the level for like one bauble. One of the weirdest areas of Super Adventure Books. There's the whole bit on the side here with the hidden clouds. What if they put the last coin there? And so that was coin 7 I collected there. I was very worried when I was at 6 out of 8, but now that I'm at 7 out of 8, I don't feel too terrible about it. And then, of course, there's all these weird elements as well. You know, I played this in Trib more than normal mode now, I would say. Just because the other teleporter lets you skip all of it. And in Trib, the route's so different. It's on all those hidden clouds that will just pop up out of nowhere. And I just didn't know what to expect. But here, you see, there's a little icon over there. I realize it's not even that bad. It's just here in the middle. The only question is the timing. And you'll see, I got it in 3 minutes 39 out of 4. So it's actually really quite close. If you are doing those Plinko things all in one run, it's gonna be tight. Like, really tight. You best know those very well. So I think if you were the kind of player that was logging in and doing this adventure every day for these adventure boxes, for leaderboard competitivity or whatever, this one's gonna be kind of annoying because you do kind of need to prep the run each time just to feel safe with it. And yeah, I hit reset. I probably should have just finished the level for the wizard. But there you have it. That's all 6 zones. That's the time trial thing. So for these year's videos as well, I am now going to go on and cover the glitches. My original idea was I was going to do 2 videos. I was going to do the glitches in World 1 and the glitches in World 2. But these time trial videos have ended up quite short, and I'd rather they be a bit more lengthy. So you might just see one more where I get all the glitches in one. We'll see how that all comes out. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you have better luck than I did. And take it easy.